everyone, welcome. We're so glad that you could join us today. It is a fabulous, warm, sunny day to be in Hillsborough, and very happy to be here. Shout out to the mayor. Great weather. Thank you very much. We're here to celebrate the progress that we, as a state, with the great leadership from the legislature, is making to make sure that when people pay their utility bills, they're paying their fair share, and the other folks are also paying their fair share. This is about affordability. This is about making sure that people can afford to live in our state and can afford to pay for the electricity that we all know is an important part of just getting by and living your life here in Oregon. I want to talk just briefly about our site here. We're at Dolores, the Dolores Apartments here, and I want to thank Hacienda and Metro and a lot of other partners who are behind this construction project, this new housing project that will bring homes for 67 families here to the community. We are here because we have a lot of people coming together in our state to not just build housing, but to build communities. And here at the Dolores, a community is being built, and it's one that is going to be affordable, not just because of the price of the rents, but also what's happening here about energy efficiency and energy affordability, which really aligns with the conversation we're having today about these bills. Here at Dolores, it's not far from grocery stores, not far from transit, it's not far from the things that families are going to need to be in the community. Sustainability was a key consideration with the construction that's happening here at Dolores. There are solar panels on the roofs, there's native landscaping, green spaces for folks to live and be in community together. Every unit, once completed, is going to have energy efficient appliances, mini split HVAC systems with air conditioning, and then other things like the playgrounds and the ability to get to places. This is what long-term sustainability and affordability looks like. And I want to thank everyone who's been part of it. There's some money from the state, there's money from Metro, there are other different financing partners. This housing complex also got funding from Oregon's Multifamily Energy Program, which is a program that provides money to support the energy resilience and sustainability that you have with the units here. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that people can pay their bills. People work hard, they raise their families, they need to be able to have a place that they can afford, and that includes energy costs that are affordable. Which brings us to the bills we're talking about today. Bills that will support places like Dolores and communities and households across Oregon to be focused on making sure that our clean energy future also includes affordable energy rates for the people of Oregon. So, we all want to make sure people can afford their homes and the bills that they pay. So let's talk about the bills themselves. House Bill 3546 represents a major shift here in Oregon to address the growing demand for very large-scale energy users. This is bipartisan legislation put together this year that will direct the Oregon Public Utility Commission to create a separate electricity rate class for facilities who use 20 megawatts of power or more. This makes sure that our large energy consumers, companies that will continue to grow here in Oregon, those are good jobs, will also pay their fair share in the large amounts of energy that they need to operate. So we can avoid the residential users and the small businesses paying too much, and so we want large users pay your fair share. It protects our residential customers and our small businesses. The second bill I'm signing today is House Bill 3179, known as the Fair Energy Act. So this also looks at affordability, takes it head on, and does very simple things, but very important things, like banning winter utility rate increases, protecting Oregonians during the coldest months of the year. It also allows the PUC to make sure that there are mandatory waiting periods between rate increases and gives the state, frankly, just more tools to protect our consumers in their households. So great new tools for the PUC here in Oregon. And a shout out, we have a couple of our PUC commissioners here, so thank you for being here. House Bill 3792 gets at the heart of what is one of the biggest challenges for Oregonians, which is helping them pay their utility bills. And this bill will double the size of the Oregon Energy Assistance Program. Instead of $20 million a year, there will now be $40 million a year available to help low-income Oregonians pay their energy bills. Particularly now when we're faced with a lot of cuts from the federal government, Oregonians and the Oregon legislature are stepping up to say, we're going to help people pay their bills, and utilities are one of those things. If any of you have worked in that area, when people are calling 211 or looking for help, getting help with their electricity bills, paying their bills for their utilities monthly is a really big deal. So it's going to help a lot of folks. And finally, we have Senate Bill 688, which will allow the PUC to monitor what our investor-owned utilities are doing as it relates to sustainability planning, wildfire planning, actually rewarding them for doing the right things and making sure we can hold them accountable when they don't do the right things. And that is an incredibly important. So together, these four bills represent a balanced approach to modern energy challenges, supporting economic growth through fair policies, protecting consumers from unfair rates, expanding assistance for those in need, and building a more resilient energy system. This legislation, all told together, positions Oregon as a leader in both technological innovation and environmental justice, making sure that our energy future serves every Oregonian. So we have some legislators here today, and I'm really glad you're all here. I don't want to miss anyone, but some of them are sitting in the front row here. Because when you spend 6-7 months in Salem working hard, it's nice to know that you can celebrate things that are going to make a difference in Oregon and the lives of Oregonians. So I really appreciate all of you for being here and being part of that. We also wouldn't be here without some amazing advocates who prioritized these bills early on, even prior to the legislative session, like Verde and the Citizens Utility Board and Climate Solutions, Community Energy Partnership and Energy Trust. All of those folks have done a great job. And as governor, I will also say the work doesn't end when the bills are passed and the bills are signed. We have a lot of state agency folks here who are going to help implement them, from the PUC to other agencies. Thank you very much. You got a lot of work ahead of you. I know you're going to do the job because Oregon is depending on it. So thanks very much. And with that, we have an amazing list of speakers. We're going to hear from State Senator Con Pham, State Representative Pam Marsh, our own kid governor, Rosie Lanenga, and Ahayi Segovia Rodriguez from Verde. And with that, I will hand over the podium to Senator Pham.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is... Good afternoon. A warm one. Again, my name is Con Pham. I'm honored to serve as the senator for Northeast and Southeast Portland in Senate District 23. So over a year ago, last summer, when I had the opportunity to go to a conference with different lawmakers from other states and policy experts, and I learned about performance-based regulation and the benefits that it offers to ratepayers, to constituents, and to our state, I was just so incredibly excited to bring this policy to Oregon. And so now I am so incredibly excited and humbled now to be standing before you as the governor gets ready to sign this really monumental bill and signing it into law. This is the power of policy change when it's done in collaboration with agencies, across chambers, and across political constituencies. Policy change that speaks to the real needs of Oregonians at this moment, to get better value for our money when it comes to energy, and to get on track towards a cleaner energy future. And SB 688 is this kind of policy. So performance-based regulation will modernize the way utilities are compensated, tying financial incentives to actual performance outcomes that we want as a community. So whether it's affordability, which is a top priority for my constituents, or reliability, or resilience in the face of disasters that are increasing, clean electricity and efficiency. These are the metrics that now utilities will be incentivized to perform towards. Our current regulatory approach was built in the 1930s, when the goal was really about just expanding as much electricity infrastructure as possible to make sure that every Oregonian could get connected. So investor profits and rates were tied to the investments that expanded infrastructure. But now, 100 years later, every Oregon community has electricity. So the issue isn't so much connectivity as it is affordability and resilience. The two investor-owned utilities operating in our state are doing quite well. Portland General Electric posted its biggest profit ever in 2024, and the CEO's compensation was raised north of $7.4 million. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway subsidiary Pacificor reported a profit of $313 million in 2024, up almost $100 million from the previous year. While Warren Buffett's own personal fortune has ballooned to $155.5 billion, with a B. When these investor-owned utilities, their executives and their billionaire owners are doing so well, everyday Oregonians should also see benefits. PBR, or performance-based regulation, will help ensure that we actually do. So today we join at least 17 states in the US, along with Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, that have enacted legislation or adopted frameworks that incorporate performance-based regulation for utilities. I want to thank the PUC commissioners and staff for their openness in embracing this new direction. I also want to thank Governor Kotek for signing the bill today. And I also want to give special thanks to my senior policy advisor, Doyle Canning, for guiding this bill from big idea to bill signing. And thanks Senator Golden and Representative Sosa and Gamba, and all of our coalition partners who supported this bill. Oregonians opening our power bills and future generations figuring out how to afford our energy future will thank us for the work that we have done here. Thank you.
Hi, wonderful to be here with all of you today. I'm Pam Marsh. I'm a state representative from District 5, which is Southern Jackson County. And I just want to start off with a round of thanks, because really that's what a celebration is all about, right? Is acknowledging the people who got us here. And that starts with our governor, who has done amazing work trying to keep us looking at innovation and the ways to serve Oregon residents. And I want to call out the advocates, and the governor called out many of the organizations, but I want to put special attention for just a moment on the Citizens Utility Board. Bob and his team are my North Star. If I'm ever trying to figure out whether a policy is a good one for regular Oregonians, that's the place that I go. And they've done this work for decades on behalf of all of us, and I think deserve to be accorded a little bit of special thanks. This work knowing that we are living at a time when people who are paying their utility bills are struggling every month to write that check. Our utilities are facing issues, some new, that they've never faced before. We have wildfire, just over in Central Oregon, there's a fire raging. We have the need for wildfire mitigation to reduce wildfire to the extent possible. We have other kinds of erratic weather events. Note the heat domes that are more and more common across the state. We have the retraction of the federal government from the investment in renewable power, which is a whole problem of its own. we have increased load, and we have the pressures of inflation, and our utilities are struggling on their own. If it were not for our ability to step in, we would see the costs of all of these elements falling over onto Oregon consumers. So what we are doing today is celebrating the fact that the legislature has stepped up, and we are giving the Public Utility Commission the tools they need to protect Oregon residents and our small businesses when pressures pile onto the utilities. The lineup of bills here today will ensure that Oregon individuals have the ability to actually come and pay their bills every month. I am a big fan of all of these bills, but I want to call out in particular the Power Act because I worked most on that bill. Traditionally, growth in the Oregon energy sector was relatively balanced across all users, meaning that it was a reasonable thing to project the cost of growing that system across all users. But with the explosion of huge technology, everything is different now. When we see data centers and potentially crypto mining operations accelerating the demand for energy, if we don't intervene, the costs of providing those data centers and those big operators with power will cascade onto our residents and small businesses. So what we're doing with the Power Act is we are requiring those big users to simply pay the costs of getting energy provided, getting it transported, and getting it distributed and then used at the source of those data centers. It's a simple matter of fairness. And it's a strategy that frankly is going to set the course for other states. We are already hearing across the country from press, from legislators, from advocates who want to understand what we did here in Oregon and how we got that through. And they are writing policies of their own that will emulate what we've been able to do here in the state. So we should be very proud of the fact that we've really set the course for the rest of the nation on this. Let me just conclude by noting again a big thanks to the governor for your leadership and for the advocates who are really unrelenting in your work. As this weather grows more erratic, nothing is going to get easier. What we know in coming together here today is that we have a governor and a legislature that are fully focused on innovation, on protecting our ratepayers, and on looking for new strategies that will really ensure that for the long term, that we Oregonians have access to reliable, affordable, and clean energy. So thank you so much for being here. And I get to introduce the kid governor, Rosie.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Rosie Lanega, Oregon's kid governor for 2025, and I'm really happy I was able to come and share my message today. A little bit about me is I became the kid governor through a statewide election. In preparation for the start of the election, all the fifth graders who wanted to run were asked to think of an issue that was important to them, then to come up with a 3-point action plan to help us make the change that was needed in our communities to address that issue. I ran off of a platform to combat climate change in our communities in Oregon. My 3-point plan is ACT, or ACT. A is for acting in your home, making the small changes every day that add up. C is for having class meetings, talking with classmates about what we can do in our schools to reduce climate change. And T is taking the time to share your knowledge of climate change to others. This is helping others learn what's happening and how they can make a difference too. That's why I'm really excited about the bills that are being signed today. Each one can help protect families, improve how we use energy, and make Oregon stronger, cleaner, and overall a better place for our future. Now with that, today I'm speaking about how climate action and protecting our environment is an issue everybody should be paying attention to. To start out, I want to say what an amazing state we have. With all the wonderful aspects of Oregon from all the 36 counties, I want to make sure that Oregon can last through the ages, and it takes effort from all of us to help Oregon and the world thrive. I want to thank everyone who does their part in the battle against climate change. It means the world to all of us, literally. When we're on the topic of climate action, we should talk about what each of us can do to help our planet. Like, this is our Earth. What wouldn't we do to save it? I recently read an article about how today's youth are taking the lead in global climate action. In the article, it said, quote, "They engage with decision makers, increasing public awareness and inspiring governments and communities to take action. Their enthusiasm, commitment, and innovative ideas are an inspiration and serve as a reminder that everyone can make a difference in the fight against climate change." I believe that's so true, because everyone can make a difference. Just because I'm a kid doesn't mean I can't help our Earth, and I'll end with my belief that if everyone makes an effort and stands up for our planet, we can make a difference together. A quote I like is from President Theodore Roosevelt: "Do what you can with what you have where you are." I think this quote is a good reminder for all of us, no matter our abilities, no matter the resources, no matter where we live, and no matter who we are, each of us can do something to help. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anaís Segovia Rodriguez. I'm the Energy Justice Coordinator at Verde. Today, I want to talk about the bills that we passed. These bills are a victory for families, for justice, and for community. These bills remind us that resilience isn't just about weathering storms, it's about making sure our neighbors, our elders, and our children can thrive no matter the challenges that come our way. When we talk about energy, what we're really talking about are people's lives. Heat in the winter, cooling in the summer, a safe home where families can come together without fear of being disconnected. For too long, too many Oregonians have had to carry that fear. Today, we have changed that. The Fair Energy Act helps ensures that utility rates no longer hit families in their most vulnerable moments. The Oregon Energy Assistance Program expands the safety net, making sure that those who are struggling the most won't be left behind. Together, they bring fairness, stability, and compassion into our energy systems. This win belongs to our communities, the advocates, the organizers, and the families who lifted their voices. It proves that when we come together, we can build systems that reflect our values of care, dignity, and equity. So let us celebrate this moment. But also, let it remind us of the work we have ahead. Because resilience is not just about surviving, it's about ensuring that every Oregonian has the power, literally and figuratively, to live with security and with hope. Thank you.
Here, and I'm going to ask all of you to come back here for a few photos and some bill signing. So give us one quick second to do.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out to Dolores today. Nice to see you. All right, where do you want to start?
Christina, are you ready? Yep. Okay.
Hi, Christina.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
Happy Monday, everyone.
Thanks for taking questions. We appreciate it. About the transportation package special session, how have you been working with people across the aisle, the Republican Party? I know there's a lot of resistance to the proposal at this point. You expect to get this passed. How are you working on the other side of the party?
There has been a lot of bipartisan dialogue about the best way to meet the near-term needs for the state around transportation, maintenance, and safety. The proposal that will be heard today and be taken up on Friday really is an approach to say all parts of the state need to benefit from basic road maintenance and safety. And I do think there is a lot of support across the state for this, and I think we will get it done, legislature will get it done later in the
Do you
week.
think there will be Republicans vote yes on this, at least some?
I think there is Republican interest in supporting it. This comes down to politics at the end of the day, but what I can say to every Oregonian, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, what we're going to do is make sure that your roads, your bridges are safe and maintained no matter what time of the year it is, and that's why that package has to pass.
Their best.
We know people or Republicans rather, are against raising taxes to fill this gap, and some people are saying we could reallocate money that we already have instead of relying on new funding. What is your response to that?
The new funding being proposed is the most reliable, consistent way to make sure the Department of Transportation is funded to provide basic services. I have heard this argument that there's money somewhere else. What I would say there is most of the money that is sitting in the department's budget that can't be tapped is going to specific projects around the state. So if the legislature wants to defund a project to do other things in the ODOT budget, that is their choice. But I'm not hearing that. What I'm hearing is, let's dedicate this new money for maintenance and operations. I'm committed to that. I'll even put that in writing. That's what Oregonians are expecting.
Lisa, Governor, on federal funding, are you prepared to lose more federal funding if Oregon doesn't try and look at changing the sanctuary laws in place?
I will tell you what I'm prepared to do. I'm prepared to fight for Oregonians to get every one of their federal tax dollars to come back to our state. And I'm also prepared to say, look, we're going to keep going. If we have to go it alone, we will, to the best of our ability. We can stand up for our values and have the services we need. And that's been my goal all along. I'll work with anyone who wants to make sure people get what they need, and that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Real question.
We have a question here from Heather Roberts at KXL, who actually is asking about the bill signing today. She is asking, how specifically will these bills help mitigate price increases following federal cuts?
So these bills are designed to have the Oregon Public Utility Commission that regulates PGE and Pacific Core to make sure that residential ratepayers are protected, that large users like our big data centers are paying their fair share, and bills like additional assistance and making sure people don't get rate increases in the middle of winter. That's what these bills do. They protect Oregonians when they are paying their bills. That's what they're going to do. And the Oregon Public Utility Commission is ready to get started on implementing them.
Christina, 1 in 5 schools in the Portland Public Schools in the district has air conditioning. With these heat waves getting much more common right now, are you advocating to have more schools have air conditioning?
I think across the state we have seen districts across the state trying to do more with their heating and ventilation and their air conditioning. Some of this is a follow-up to the pandemic. I do think, for example, Portland Public Schools will be getting some of the Portland Clean Energy Fund money to upgrade air conditioning and things like that in our schools. Unfortunately, that is where our districts have to go. The state has a program where we can match local dollars to help on these types of capital improvements. And I think as the weather changes, with climate change, districts are going to have to do more of that. And I think Portland Public Schools is smart for tapping into the Portland Clean Energy Fund to help them do that.
Claire, I mean, do you think on Friday you will come to some sort of agreement and you will find a way to fund this gap? Because it seems like Republicans are steadfast in their belief they don't want to raise taxes. It seems like that's what your solution is. I mean, what happens if it's just...
I think what's really important is when there's a problem or a challenge, that a real solution is put forward and try to get people to support it. Unlike the Trump administration, Oregon legislature is going to come together on Friday with a proposal that will fund basic road maintenance and operations. I would hope every elected leader in Salem would support it, and at the end of the day, we just need to get it done. I would hope it's going to be bipartisan, but nonetheless, I just want to make sure we get the proposal done so we can fund what we need to fund.
Lisa, Governor, back to the feds for a minute. What do you plan to do if the federal government rolls in under an emergency declaration to use the National Guard here for immigration enforcement like they plan to do in other cities?
We have had no indication from the Trump administration that Oregon is being targeted for military deployment. In my letter to Attorney General Bondi last week, I was really clear. We have had on the books in Oregon since the 80s laws that say local law enforcement deals with some things, federal law enforcement, federal immigration authorities deal with federal immigration enforcement. We can continue to partner with the federal administration without having them take money from us or come in here and do local law enforcement. We don't need that, and I have heard nothing from the Trump administration that would think that that's going to happen.
We might not be on the first list, but we might be on the second list, the second round.
I think it's unconscionable the way the Trump administration has been putting troops in American cities. Crime is not the issue here. It is a show of power and strength. I would prefer to make it very clear to the Trump administration, we have local law enforcement who is doing their job, going after criminals, enforcing community safety. We're doing our job, we don't need any help, and I would hope that we allow our active duty military and our National Guard members to be held in reserve when there is an actual emergency.
Remote.
Alex Baumhart from the Oregon Capitol Chronicle wants to give you an opportunity to also reiterate your stance on the executive order directing National Guard in every state to assist with law enforcement efforts. Will the governor's commander-in-chief of Oregon Guard dismiss Trump's EO? Will it change anything about how Guard currently operates in Oregon?
There is no community safety crisis in Oregon. We are not requesting any help from the federal administration. I have faith in local law enforcement to do their job. And I will continue as the commander-in-chief of the Oregon National Guard, reserve the Guard for other disasters. Right now, we have Guard folks trained and ready out on fires. That's what I need them to be doing, not worried about local law enforcement activities. We have folks covering that.
Christina, with the energy cost savings that these bills you signed today are expected to produce for Oregonians, do you think that will mitigate the extra costs that you're proposing for gas in your transit bill package?
Well, this is about people's energy bills in their homes. And this is about making sure the big electric users of electricity pay their fair share. When these bills are fully implemented, Oregonians will be protected from uncertain rate increases, from making sure they're only paying what they're using versus the large users out there. These are the right things to ensure energy affordability for Oregonians across the state. It has nothing to do with the transportation.
But do you think more mitigate some of the extra increase that will come about if that package passes?
Oregonians have a tradition and commitment to paying for the maintenance and operation of the roads, and that's the proposal in front of the legislature on Friday.
Any other questions? All right, well done. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.